Hello, parents and students. So this is a video. Sorry, I'm going to pull over here because I'm getting real. So this is, I'm going to start a series of videos with the intention of teaching, reteaching lessons. This is not meant to be a comprehensive lesson to replace missing a day of school. This is meant to just be a quick review for the students, and then also just kind of a quick overview for parents who are trying to help the students. So my goal ultimately is that if a kid comes across something like, say, he's learning about the principal parts or he forgot what they were, then he can come right here and, we'd have lesson 8 and I would just, or 7, I think it was 7. And then he will quickly see how it works, be maybe a 5 or 6 minute video, and then go back and be able to use it. But I also hoping parents can watch this, and I hope you will see this and then understand how actually easy Latin is and how particularly this book really sets things up very easily and nicely. All right, so without further ado, let's get right in. So this is going to be lesson 1. So I'm going to assume you have the book in front of you. So this is be page 10 and 11. And so we're going to be introduced to, it says the present tense at the top. I'm looking at the book over here. But these are also called the personal endings. So the personal endings and present tense are interchangeable sometimes. But understand that the personal endings, they will basically show up throughout every lesson. So when you watch lesson 2 for the perfect tense, you'll see how we'll still have the personal endings, but we're going to throw in a tense sign that kind of goes between the stem and the ending. I should go this way. Stem, ending, tense sign. And then that's going to keep happening where you're going to have the stem, the tense sign, and those personal endings at the end. So here's just an introduction to the personal endings, which also happen to be the present tense. So verbs all have conjugations. So the students should know this by now. Verbs have conjugations, nouns have declensions. We are not dealing with nouns, we're not dealing with declensions until lesson 12 or 13, I believe. So for now, it's just verbs, and that's all that the students will see for the next several lessons. So let's look at page 10. So the thing is, and this is going to be a longer video because this is going to kind of set up everything. You'll notice every lesson is set up exactly the same way. If you took Spanish class, you took French class, you will notice that this looks very similar, where you'll have a conjugation. Which basically says who and when, who's doing the verb and when the verb is being done. So let's see if I can not get too far out. So you see we have a box here that says singular and plural. And then it's going to have 3 columns or 3 rows. And it's going to say first person, second person, third person. And again, if you took Spanish, you saw this, you've seen this before, right? I took Spanish and French, and both of them were, well, Spanish was pretty easy because I spoke it and I was raised around it. And then French was easy because once I had Spanish and I'd seen this and I was already used to this, I didn't have to kind of conceptualize this. It was already in my brain. Then, of course, that made Latin quite easy, which, if you don't know, I learned all of the Latin stuff within about a month. I learned this entire book in a month. That's actually not showing how awesome I am. That's showing how easy this book is. So you're going to notice that it has, so these are the singular and these are the plural. Every chapter, as I said, is set up exactly the same way. So the kids must understand this structure. They must understand how this works. And for now, we have the personal endings being O, S, T, mus, sis, und. The students should have this memorized. Most of them too right now, at least where we are right now in my class. This is November 2021. So this means, this means I, this means you, singular, he, she, or it. This means we, this means you, plural, y'all or you all, and this means they. And it will always mean that. It will always mean these. This will always be I am doing something, you are doing something, he, she, or it, singular, is doing something, we are doing something, you all, so that means two or more people, right? You, plural, and they. So I'll give an example. You can see in the book it has the verb amo. Now for now, the verbs are going to be in the first person plural form. So if you look at the book, you'll see that it's got all these verbs here, and they're all in the first person plural form. Amo, do, lavo, nato. Eventually, the verbs are going to be introduced in what is known as the infinitive, which means to do something. So instead of amo, which means I love, the verbs will eventually be introduced as amare, which means to love. And again, this is not just a Latin thing. This is how it works in Spanish. So in Spanish, just so you know, they don't say amar, they say amar. And if you've learned Spanish, you're going to notice these actually match up very similar to Spanish, mainly because Spanish comes from Latin. So we're going to have amo right here. That means I love. And notice it's present tense. It's not I loved, or I will love, or I have loved, or I do love, or well, actually it is I do love. Or I was loving. It's I love. And there are two other ways we can translate it, but I will go into that later. Okay, that's I love. You'll notice it's exactly the same as Spanish. Amo means I love. Te amo means I love you in Spanish. Now, the rest of these are going to be different from this one, and this is the first thing that gets a little difficult for the students, but once they grasp it, it becomes easy because this happens to every single verb. You're going to find the stem by just turning that O into an A, and then you put it right here. Okay, let's turn it back to an O. So the stem for amare or amo, the stem is ama. And that happens to every verb. So do, which is the second verb down, I believe it's the next one down. Do, yeah. Just turn that into an A and now you get the stem. Okay? So if we were doing this for do, we'd put do, da, da. And you just write the stem. So if I were doing do, I'd do do, or do, da, 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 da. Here I'm doing amare. Sorry to throw too many verbs. Let's get back to amare, or amo. So I'm going to do ama, ama, ama. Again, these are the stems. Latin is made up of stems and endings. The students should know that by now. Latin is made of stems and endings. So here's the stems. And then you can see that they put a little hyphen there, and that confuses the kids a little bit because they think they need to put that there, but they actually don't. They just can put the verb endings. So we already have O, and we already have the personal endings. And so watch this. We've got ama, 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 ama. Put the stems, and now I put the endings. O, S, T, mus, sis, nt. And that's it. And that is how you conjugate a verb. And you can do this with every single verb on that page. Do, lavo, nato, oro, paro, porto, servo, sto, voco. So let me do a different verb. Okay, so the personal endings again are ost, musis, und. And let's go with sto. Sto, which means I stand. So let me erase these. Sto. Just so you know the infinitive, which they need to know later. They don't need to know it now. But the infinitive, this is just for future reference. The infinitive would be stare. Okay? And by the way, really the way to find the infinitive is find the stem is you get the infinitive and you drop the RE. but it's going to be the same thing. An easier way to do it for now is just to turn that O into an A. So this one goes right here. This is the only one where I don't put the stem, sto. But everything else is going to have the stem. So I just write sta, sta. This is what I tell the kids, just do this on the test. Okay, sta, sta, sta. Then you put the personal endings. Okay, and again, the endings are O-S-T, mus, sis, und. And by the way, T-I-S, we would pronounce sis in Latin. We don't say tis. Why? Because that's the way it's pronounced. So, sto, so it'd be O-S-T, mus, sis, und. And that's how you conjugate. Now, these would be translated as I stand, you stand, he, she, or it stands, we stand, y'all stand, they stand. So remember, singular, I stand. Plural is we stand. Singular for second person, stas, means I or you stand, just you by yourself. The plural would be just you plural. We don't do this in English except for saying y'all or you all. And actually in Spanish, they don't really do this if you're in Mexico or Latin America. But in Spain, they do actually have this. They actually have a plural second person. And in Spanish, just so you know, it'd be o, as, a, almost ice, an. And it's almost exactly the same way, right? So those of you who forgot your Spanish from 20 years ago, I just reminded you of it, and hopefully it's all just flooding back to you. But there it is right there. That's the present tense. Now, the one thing that can confuse the kids is to understand that there are 3 ways to translate it. And you can see right over here, this one. And it says, I love, I am loving, I do love. So what that means is, I can take any of these. So they're saying I could have amo. Amo could be translated 3 different ways. And when I say it could be translated 3 different ways, meaning you could put any one of these 3 answers on your test or on your homework, and it would be correct, unless it specifically asks for you to use the emphatic or the present progressive. So amo can be translated as I love, I am loving. Now understand, this is not I am loving as a descriptor, meaning I'm so loving. That would be a different one. That would be used as an adjective. So this is still the, like I'm loving it, like the King's, what did I say? Not Burger King. What is that? McDonald's, I am loving it. So, or I'm loving it. So I love, I am loving, and I do love. So again, unless the homework asks you specifically to use the simple present, the progressive present, they call it progressive present. I learned it as present progressive. Or I do love, the emphatic. Like I really do love. Unless the homework tells you to do that, then you can pick any one of these for your translation, and that is perfectly fine. That will get you full credit. So let me give you another example using a different one. So let's go with portamos. Okay. So how would I translate this? Well, we have porta, the stem, which if you look on page 10, you'll see that means I carry, right? And this ends in mus, which is the first person plural. And first person plural means we. Now, if you ever get confused, you can always look. It always has it right here. It says, it always has the pronouns. We, you, they, I, you, he, she, or it. And then you always have those, and they're always in this order, right? So portamos would be we, and then carry. So I can translate this 3 ways. We carry, we are carrying, and we do carry. Yes, making sure that's all in the video. All right. This is normally where I turn and say, any questions? I actually almost just said that, but unfortunately, there's nobody here to ask questions. So, I think that's all I need to say. And yeah, so hopefully I'll make some more videos throughout the week. Maybe I'm going to try to get one a week, one per lesson. But there it is. Okay, that's how you do the present progressive or the personal tense endings. That's lesson 1. And so if you were studying for lesson 1, all you would need to do is make sure you've got this structure down, these endings, and these verbs. Every time we take a quiz, anytime there's a lesson, it's always the same thing. It's just this setup of singular and plural, the endings the new verb endings, and then some verbs, and then usually they almost all the homework is reviewing these verbs and trying to use these endings to conjugate the verbs and then translating them either into English or from English back to Latin. Okay, that's it. St. Dominic Savio, pray for us.